And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very happy to welcome Kathy Gray from Not for Sale, One Step at a Time, and PJ Chavez from Walsh University. They are partnering in some very important things going on in our community. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, first of all, Kathy, let's start with you and let's find out a little bit more about Not for Sale, One Step at a Time. What is this organization? What's it about?
Yes, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization located right here in North Canton, Ohio, and we focus on education, awareness, and prevention of human trafficking.
And I think a lot of folks say, what in the world are we talking about human trafficking in North Canton, Ohio for? Tell me a little bit about what you know, the background, and why this is so important for our community.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think the best way to answer that is to give you a little bit of facts, and I think that will help our audience to understand a little bit more why we're so needed in the community. So did you know that there are more slaves in the world today than at any other point in human history? Did you know that we now have more than 27 million people trapped in bondage? Globally, human trafficking generates $150 billion a year. That's more than Google, Nike, and Apple combined. That number alone, $150 billion a year. This is solely based on profiting off of raping and abusing human beings for sex and money. That's exactly what we're talking about. And it's estimated over 100,000 children are victims of sex trafficking each year, and that number keeps rising right here in the United States.
Can I stop you there for 1 second? When you say children,
Sure.
what ages are we talking about?
Unfortunately, we're talking about an average age range of 8 years old to 18.
Oh, my gosh.
So it is not just, pinpointed to those ages, but that's an average age range.
Kathy, how did this happen?
Oh, goodness. Well, we have had human trafficking for a long time. And honestly, the foundation of human trafficking all starts with pornography. It starts with that. It starts with some mental health issues. This has been going on for so many years and so long. It's now become a very well-organized business. And that's what we want people to understand. This is a business that has many layers to it. And that is why groups like ourselves, as well as many other organizations and groups, are so needed to educate our community on how not to become another victim.
Child abuse is clearly illegal. How on earth does an 8-year-old become so abused that they become actually a product for someone?
Well, goodness, the main tactic that a trafficker uses is called grooming. And this is where they start befriending a child. So they could pose as, it could be like a 40-year-old male. We do have female traffickers too, might I add. It could be a 40-year-old male that poses as somebody younger, starts talking to a child online, starts befriending that child, earning the trust, earning the respect of that child, and it just starts leading down a very bad, dangerous path. So therefore, once they have that relationship built, that trafficker will start asking for more things like sexually explicit photos or communication, and then they can use that information to blackmail that child. So unfortunately, it's definitely a mind game, and it's something that they definitely prey on are young people that are vulnerable, that may be struggling with depression, anxiety, issues in their home, issues at school. The list goes on.
How much does social media come into play here as far as making those connections for the pedophile to find a child who might be vulnerable?
Social media is the number one tool. And unfortunately, all of us have, cell phones, and children nowadays, younger and younger and younger, need cell phones because of sports activities.
Right.
And, they're involved in so many different activities at school. Their parents need to get a hold of them, but because we have the internet, everything is right there at their fingertips. And children love social media. And, I do want to be clear, social media has a positive influence,
Mm-hmm.
but it can also have a very bad negative influence. And that's unfortunately what a lot of these traffickers do, these predators. That's all they do. They prey on these precious young kids, trying to earn their trust, trying to talk to them, saying all the right things. And then they start down that path of having this child become a victim.
I keep going back to the 8-year-old. I just can't even fathom that they would even have that kind of interest in anyone at that age. What can parents or grandparents do to protect these precious children?
Well, gosh, there's a lot you can do. And one of the things that we talk about when we go around educating, we have a whole section devoted to social media and internet safety.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that we recommend is that the parents would have all social media accounts should be private. And I understand, especially if you have a teenager or somebody that's in college, they want as many followers as possible. That's what shows their popularity. Unfortunately, it opens them up to a predator. And let's be clear, these predators, that's all they do. This is like a full-time job for them, is, scouring the internet, trying to groom one child after the other, and they're very successful in doing it. So we asked the parents if they would please try to make these accounts private, but explain the value in having it private. Mm-hmm. It's 100% for the safety of their children. The next thing we recommend, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what about keeping it to people they actually know? That because social media doesn't seem like a very safe place to be making new friends.
For sure. And that's what when we talk about having the account to be private, we talk about only talk to people that you see face to face, that you know. Don't talk to all these other people at different states and countries that you don't even know, you don't even see, because again, you're opening yourself up to a potential predator. And one of the main things that we talk about too is that parents should have passwords to all the accounts, social media or gaming, whatever accounts your children have. Parents need to have those passwords. And they also need to make sure that they're explaining to their children, never give out personal information. And when you have kids, they love to talk about, hey, I'm at this football game, and they'll post their pictures, right there on location. And unfortunately, predators go to those things so they can see, oh, well, Sally's here. I see what she looks like. I can just go right on down and see Sally. So it's just things like that we try to teach and educate as far as preventative things.
Some of these things are really good for parents to know as well, just for their own behavior on social media. How many times are you on vacation or at an Ohio State game? Well, not these days. Oh, maybe sometime. Right. And you're saying, hey, here we are. And, you're doing the selfies from and you're saying, okay, so go rob my house. It just makes no sense to be announcing to everyone that I'm not home.
Exactly. I mean, that's something that we've talked about ourselves, because all of us love to post when we're doing fun things or really good things within the community.
Yes.
And we've had to be very careful with what we're doing, too. Just making sure that, if we're on vacation or something, we don't post those pictures until we get back.
Right, exactly. And that is just common sense, but I've been so guilty of it because you're having a wonderful time and you want to share it. Sharing my happiness.
Yes.
You've just said something that some people are like, okay, I am not tech savvy. You said privatize the account. Is there a place, or do you do this when you do presentations? Is there a place where you walk the untech savvy person through showing them what buttons to push? Because Facebook is notorious for changing things all the time, where you find everything, to walk them through, to show them how to go into your account settings and make it private.
Yes, so that is something that we do when we go out and about at our events, when we're specifically talking about this issue. we can give them step by step where to go with Facebook and Instagram, but also we have to be really protective too of any of these gaming things that the children love to do online. And, with the Xbox and things like that, they need to be really careful. And unfortunately, as sure as you know, Susie, new apps are created all the time.
Right.
And it is so hard for even us to stay up to date on all the latest apps that come out. And basically, we just encourage parents, always be involved with your children, know what they're doing, know what they're watching, know who they're talking to. If you see apps on their phones or apps, in your TV and home that you're not familiar with, go on Google, research it, figure it out, and then have that conversation with your child.
And just basically explaining phone privileges come with some accountability and some responsibilities.
Right.
Are there some other flags that we should be on the lookout for just to make sure our child has not crossed paths with someone who's not who they say they are or some other nefarious thing about them?
Well, the sad thing is there's no specific look to a trafficker. They can look like you and me. That's what's so difficult, is because we have people in authoritative positions that are traffickers, like a teacher or a pastor or a police officer, somebody like that. And it could be their own parents that are trafficking them for money for drugs. So it's very hard to say, here's a profile of a trafficker, because it can be any human being. What we try to tell people is more preventative ways of how not to get trafficked themselves. Things that they can do as far as being very savvy online, being very protective of their accounts and their information, and especially for parents just to know the friendship circle, the apps the kids are on, and check their phones. And I think I told you this last year, but it's so important to talk about every time, is rules without relationship equal rebellion. And when our kids are
Kathy, say that again, please.
It's my favorite thing that I learned from being a parent.
Yeah.
But it's rules without relationship equal rebellion.
Yeah.
And we are in such a time where children love social media. They love their friendship circles. This is an important time that we have to build that relationship. Yes, we have to have rules. We have to have accountability. But there needs to be that open relationship where our kids know they can come to us. They can talk to us about any subject and anything. We're going to actively listen, which is huge. I think sometimes as parents, we're all at fault of like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but this is how it's going to be, Instead of having that open heart, that open mind. And when you have that open relationship with your teen or your child, they're less likely to rebel. They're less likely to run away. They're less likely to be attracted to somebody that could take them down a very destructive path.
With quarantine and everything that we're going through right now, we've all turned to social media, which has, in a way, isolated us at the same time as connecting us in a different kind of weird way. I'm sure we're going to need to talk about what that's been as far as affecting your event and your support, but also what does that mean as far as our vulnerability to be attacked by someone who does not have our best interest at heart?
Well, gosh, it's even doubled in numbers or tripled in numbers because, again, when you're quarantined, first of all, we got to think about all of the precious victims that are having to stay quarantined with their abuser.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, that's one piece that has broken my heart.
Oh, my.
Being in this industry when we were forced to quarantine, because what about all the kids that are forced to stay with their abuser? Whether it's domestic violence, whether it's trafficking, whatever it is, they're forced to stay in a very unsafe location.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
heartbreaking.
Of course we have more issues with that. And then they're online more because what else can they do?
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out what Not for Sale does. Well, we do need to
Yes.
take a really short break here. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Kathy Gray. And we're going to bring in PJ Chavez now from Walsh University. And the two of you have been working together on something really important. When we talk about Not for Sale, one step at a time, in the past this has been a walk that I think took place at Walsh on the track. But fill me in, because how has coronavirus, rocked your world along with everyone else?
Well, it definitely has affected us. And before we have sweet PJ speak here, I just want to share a little bit about that partnership that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So the partnership with Walsh is so huge to our hearts because they have the same values as we do. Their students are such amazing leaders in this community. And they're not just taught the educational piece, they're actually taught how to take that education and put it into action to where you make a difference.
Yes.
And so the Walsh students and staff have that same value as us, where we don't want to just educate. We want to be proactive. We want to make a change and make a difference. And so together, that's what we're doing. And the global perspective that we have is Not for Sale, because we do partner with A21, and we do their Walk for Freedom every single year. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we've had to take a hard pivot. Where most people are canceling events and canceling activities, Not for Sale was saying, no, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a creative way that we can still get to the hearts of everybody, educate, bring the knowledge, which we all know will empower people to change. There has to be a way to do that, as well as get that call to action piece that everybody loves, which is a walk. So that hard pivot brought us with Walsh again, and we talked with them, and we said, how could we do this and be effective? And we decided to do this big event that's coming up on October 17th, and we're doing a virtual education hour. And we literally just did this at Walsh. We taped all of our interviews of top leaders right here in our community that are in the trenches with us, fighting the good fight against human trafficking. So Walsh students and staff provided their beautiful media center, and we were able to do all of these interviews with, again, top leaders. We've got Hannah's House, we have Rahab, we have Pastor Jason Lance from River Tree, we've got FBI. There's so many people we have, and all bringing this important information right here to our community.
So this all then has been put together almost like a webinar that people can tune in.
Yes.
Where do we find it? How do we watch it?
Sure. So you would go to notforsaleohio.com, and once you click onto our website, then you will see different tabs that you can go to, that you can go and see this on October 17th. It's going to air from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we have about 10 different people. You're going to hear from a survivor of human trafficking right here in our community. You're going to hear a lot of important educational information in the comfort of your own home. And then at 12 o'clock, we're inviting everybody to do their own independent walk with their close family and friends, of course, following CDC guidelines, and do a 1 mile walk for victims of human trafficking. And they can do that in their neighborhood, their college campuses. If they're at college, they can walk at their own local parks and make their own signs and do that call to action piece, which is really exciting because they can post on Instagram and Facebook Live that we are walking and taking a stand against human trafficking.
Is there a hashtag they should use when they post?
There will be, and it'll be posted on our website. All those little details are right there, so they will know exactly what to do.
Is there a way they can identify themselves that this is why I'm doing this? I'm not just out taking a walk?
Yes. So what they can do is wear our shirts. You can go to our website and order those, notforsaleohio.com. You can also wear all black. You can wear shirts from A21. Anything that supports anti-human trafficking is what we're asking people to wear. But typically people wear all black or our shirts.
So this will take place October 17th. What day of the week that is that?
It's a Saturday.
Okay, Saturday, October 17th, 10 to 11. Watch the webinar. Go to notforsaleohio.com to be able to click in and join that. And then at noon, go out there and walk and identify yourselves as walking for a purpose. And
Yes,
couldn't be a more
absolutely.
important one. Will the webinar be available after October 17th? Can you watch it another
Absolutely.
time?
Yes, it will be available, and we will have all that information listed as well. So if somebody couldn't click on the 17th, they'll still be able to get all that good information from our strong community leaders.
Well, and I'm thinking other communities are going to want to be
Yes.
knowledgeable about and pick up what you're doing so that they can,
Mm-hmm.
maybe duplicate the same kind of efforts in their communities. So it's notforsaleohio.com. PJ, let's get to know you.
Oh my goodness! Well,
Yes.
I tell you, I am so incredibly honored to be here and be working with Not for Sale. This is something that's just I've been over at Walsh for 15 years now, and part of our mission is again to help develop future leaders in service in the community. And this just speaks. The whole program speaks to me. As a father of an 8-year-old, I'm alarmed by some of these some of the things that I've learned, and it's just it's heartbreaking. It's surprising to hear that it's happening right here in this area. It's just it's so disturbing. We have at Walsh again. We are all about creating leaders of service, and
Yes.
there's a program we have at Walsh. Walsh was founded by the Brothers of Christian Instruction, and again, in their mission, they state that they want to create and help promote and develop leaders in service. Walsh's third president was a brother of Christian Instruction. He was Brother Francis Bluen,
Yes.
and he exemplified servant leadership and leadership here in the community, but then also servant leadership on a global scale. And he was our third president, and he retired in 1992, and sadly he passed away in January of 2017. And when he passed away, we created a program, a group on campus called the Bluen Scholars. And these Bluen Scholars are incoming freshmen that they apply to get into the program, and they focus on service. And again, the whole purpose of the Bluen Scholars is to foster change makers in our community, and again, help develop leaders in service to others, and even as far out as a global perspective as well. It's something when hearing and listening and reading about Not for Sale, this just completely exemplifies what the Bluen Scholars are all about. And it's actually our current freshman Bluen Scholars are taking on, studying and trying to make more aware about human trafficking. So Not for Sale, it made sense for this partnership. And again, we're so incredibly honored again to host them. And I love the idea, even though we have to be virtual in these very unique times that we're in, that we still get to participate in the educational seminar, but then also in the walk. I mean, I'm looking forward to doing my walk in my neighborhood with my wife, and it's something that's just we can all still stand in unity to. We need this change. We need this change in our community. We need this change in our world.
Yes.
And it's something that if it doesn't start with us, where does it start?
Right.
That's right.
How have today's college students embraced this particular problem? Are Walsh students as astonished as I am to hear about it? How have they taken up this cause?
Absolutely. I mean, they're as astonished as everyone else. Just the fact that, again, as young as 8, I guess they never think about that. I hear about human trafficking, but the more I learn about it, as well as other students that I've talked to and worked with at the university, the more, in a very disgusting way, we're blown away with the horrificness of this, and the fact that these people, these victims, that their lives are completely turned upside down in this perverse, disgusting way. It's just, it's shocking. And this is a very easy program, Not for Sale, for people to get behind, because this is a terrible atrocity that is happening, not just globally, but in our community.
Yes.
And this is something we need to make a stand, to take a stand. And it fits again with, if we're not the ones making that change, if we are not the change makers in our community, who will be?
Right.
It is us. It starts with us.
Let's talk a little bit about that freshman class that just came in. God love them. They had a really weird senior year. Many of them were born in 2001, maybe in the fall of
Right.
2001. So they came into the world just as we went through a horrific terrorist attack. They graduated from high school as we go through this global pandemic, and now they're
Right.
going off to college in a really weird way. I have such a heart for them. I know you do too.
Yeah.
Tell me about these precious kids that are entering now college.
Oh, well, I have to tell you because I've seen it on both. I do some work in a high school here in Canton, then also over at Walsh University, and it's these are some of the strongest young people that I know. They are. I guess it's funny because I look back and I say, "What we live in unique times," and they obviously wouldn't disagree. They would say these are unique times. But boy, from the beginning of their lives, they have had obstacles being thrown at them.
Yeah.
These are some of the most resilient young people. And in a way, in my experience with them, it's made them stronger. It's made them stronger. Almost in a way, they're proud. Proud to take on these hurdles, but then also, they know what they want to make life. They know what they want to make our community. And
Yes.
that's something that, to change this, to reverse this terrible event we have with human
Yes.
trafficking. I mean, to be
Yes.
able to change that's it's crucial, and they see it as crucial as well. And they're resilient.
They've had their metal tested for sure.
They have had their medal, yes.
How are you keeping them safe and all the students over there at Walsh?
Oh, absolutely. We have many of the safeguards, even during our COVID-19 here set up that the CDC and the state of Ohio put together. We're following all the protocol, masks and social distancing. We do have some virtual online classes. We also have, some face-to-face classes, but still maintaining that safe distance, maintaining, the safety of the students. And honestly, since we're well over a month into it, and I think Walsh is doing a great job. We're going to continue striving forward. It's a day-by-day basis, but it's something that, we're not going to give up on our students. We want to give them, to the extent that we can, the most normal college experience that they can have, all while receiving a fantastic education, and also, again, just becoming these servant leaders that our goal is as they leave Walsh University, as they graduate, they go on to become these servant leaders in our community and in our nation and in our world.
Love seeing it, and love the fact that you didn't scale back, that you just figured out another way to do this, and so that the students can be involved in this important, first of all, just in this important event, but also instilling that servitude in them. We want to remind everybody this is all taking place October 17th, 10 to 11 a.m. Go to notforsaleohio.com. And then at noon, get out there and walk. And in some way, either by ordering a T-shirt online, make a sign, wear black, some way, let your neighbors know as you walk your mile that this is why you are walking. Kathy Gray, PJ Chavez, thank you so much for all you do in our community.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you so much, Susie.